In 79 seconds, 6 private meetings between an FBI director and a tech executive would surface in a Senate Intelligence Committee hearing, each one followed by a downgrade in threat assessment for a company funded by Russian state money. The cameras were already rolling. The hearing room was silent, not tense yet, just waiting. Mark Warner sat at the center of the committee table, a thick classified binder closed in front of him, reading glasses resting on top. FBI Director Kash Patel sat at the witness table alone, hands folded, microphone adjusted, water glass positioned to his right. This was supposed to be annual intelligence oversight, budget allocations, counterintelligence priorities, standard protocol for the Intelligence Committee. The gallery held maybe 40 people, intelligence reporters, congressional staffers with security clearances, no phones allowed. The overhead lights created sharp shadows across the polished wood. A digital clock on the wall read 2:51 p.m. Warner's turn came without preamble. Director Patel, are you familiar with FBI counterintelligence case file CI 2023-7729? Patel's eyes moved to Warner. His expression stayed neutral. Senator, I oversee numerous counterintelligence investigations. I'd need to review the specific file to provide detailed. I'm not asking for details. I'm asking if you're familiar with it. Pause. 3 seconds. Patel's right hand shifted slightly on the table. I'm familiar with the case designation system. Yes. Warner opened the classified binder. He didn't look down yet. This case file was opened in August. It involved a counterintelligence investigation into a U.S. technology company that received foreign investment flagged by Treasury Department Financial Intelligence. Are you with me so far? If this involves classified intelligence sources or methods, I may be limited in what I can discuss, even in a closed setting, without proper. I'm not asking about sources. I'm asking if you remember the case. Patel's hands remained folded, but his fingers interlaced more tightly. I'd have to review the case file to confirm my involvement in any specific investigative decisions. Warner pulled a single page from the binder. He set it flat on the desk. This is a FinCEN alert, dated July 19, 2023. Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. He tapped the page once. It flags a series of wire transfers totaling $12.4 million from VTB Bank to a technology company called Nexus Systems LLC. VTB is a Russian state-owned bank currently under U.S. sanctions. Do you dispute that? I'm not disputing FinCEN reporting. Good. Warner turned another page. On August 2, 2023, the FBI opened a counterintelligence case based on this alert. The investigation was assigned to the Counterintelligence Division's Technology and Cyber Section, standard protocol for foreign investment in sensitive technology sectors. Patel nodded slightly. That sounds consistent with standard procedures. The case remained active through your confirmation as FBI Director in January of this year, correct? If the case timeline overlaps with my tenure, yes. Warner removed a thicker document from the binder. This is the case activity log for CI 20. It tracks every significant action taken during the investigation. Interviews conducted, surveillance authorized, threat assessments filed. He opened to a tabbed section on January 31, 2024. 7 days after you became director, the assigned case agent filed a threat assessment update. The company, Nexus Systems, was classified as high risk for potential counterintelligence threats based on the Russian funding source and the nature of their technology development. Do you recall that assessment? I don't personally review every threat assessment filed by field agents. I'm not asking if you reviewed it. I'm asking if you recall it. Patel's breathing pattern changed, slightly slower. I'd have to review the specific assessment to speak to its contents or conclusions. Warner pulled another page. This is that threat assessment, high risk. Recommended continued surveillance and expanded investigation into company leadership and foreign contacts. He set it down. 3 weeks later, on February 22nd, the same case agent filed an updated assessment. This time, the threat level was downgraded from high risk to medium risk. The justification cited lack of concrete evidence of hostile intent. Patel reached for his water glass. He drank, set it down carefully. Threat assessments evolve as investigations develop and new information becomes available. They do. Warner's voice stayed flat. But here's what's interesting. He turned to another tab. Between the first assessment on January 31st and the second assessment on February 22nd, you had a private meeting with Alexei Volkov, the chief technology officer of Nexus Systems. Patel's jaw tightened. Barely visible. I meet with numerous individuals in the course of my duties as director. This wasn't a duty meeting. Warner pulled a printout from the binder. This is your official calendar for February 20, provided to this committee under subpoena. He held it so the projection screen behind Patel displayed it. On February 14th, you have a notation that reads, Private dinner, Volkov, off campus. No FBI personnel present. No official record filed. Just you and the CTO of a company under active counterintelligence investigation. Patel's hands unlaced, rested flat on the table. His fingers spread slightly. I occasionally meet with technology sector leaders to maintain awareness of industry developments and emerging threats. During an active investigation into his company, Senator, I can't discuss the details of ongoing or closed investigations in a way that might compromise sources or methods. The investigation is closed. It was shut down in August of this year. So you can discuss. Silence. 5 seconds. 7. Patel's eyes didn't leave Warner. The gallery was completely still. Warner continued without waiting for an answer. Let's look at what happened after your February 14th dinner with Volkov. He turned another page. On March 8th, 3 weeks after your dinner, the case agent filed another threat assessment update. This time, the threat level dropped again, from medium risk to low risk. New justification, company cooperation with preliminary inquiries indicates no adversarial intent. Warner looked up. But here's the thing. According to the case log, there were no preliminary inquiries between February 22nd and March 8th. No interviews. No document requests. No surveillance for notes. The threat level dropped, but nothing in the investigative record changed. Patel's breathing was shallow now, visible. Threat assessments can be updated based on analytical review of existing information without new investigative activity. Analytical review by whom? By counterintelligence analysts and supervisory personnel. Did you conduct an analytical review? I rely on career professionals to conduct those reviews. Warner pulled another calendar page. On March 3rd, 5 days before that threat downgrade, you had another private meeting with Volkov. This one at a restaurant in Georgetown. Again, no FBI personnel. Again, no official record. Patel's counsel leaned forward slightly, but didn't speak. Industry engagement is part of the FBI director's responsibilities. Engagement with a subject of an active counterintelligence case. Senator, I don't believe Mr. Volkov was personally a subject of the investigation. The company was. He's the CTO. He runs the technology operation that received $12.4 million from a Russian state bank. That makes him relevant. Warner turned to another tab. Here's what else happened. On April 19th, you met with Volkov again. Third meeting. This time, at a private club in Virginia. He held up another calendar entry. 6 days later, on April 25th, the case status changed from active investigation to preliminary inquiry. That's a downgrade in investigative authority. It limits what agents can do, restricts surveillance, reduces resources. That decision would have been made through proper channels with appropriate supervisory review. Name one supervisor who recommended that downgrade. Patel stopped. His mouth opened slightly, closed. I'd have to review the decision-making documentation. Warner didn't pause. On May 30th, you met with Volkov for a 4th time. Location, private residence in McLean. Your calendar just says evening meeting, Volkov. 2 weeks later, on June 13th, the case was downgraded again, from preliminary inquiry to assessment. That's the lowest level, essentially dead in the water. Patel's hands pressed harder against the table. His fingertips went wide. Senator, I'm not going to sit here and defend every investigative decision made by career professionals based on a timeline that may not reflect the full context of the intelligence picture at the time. You met with him 5 more times. Warner's voice stayed level but sharpened. June, July 8th, July 29th. Each meeting followed by another step down in the investigation. He pulled a final document from the binder. On August 6, 2024, FBI case file CI 2023-7729 was officially closed. Status, no actionable threat identified. The $12.4 million from VTB Bank was noted in the file but classified as legitimate foreign investment pending further Treasury review. The case that started as high risk was closed 7 months later as no threat. And during those 7 months, you met privately with the company's CTO 6 times. Patel reached for his water glass again. His hand trembled slightly. The condensation left a ring on the wood. Those meetings were part of my broader engagement with the technology sector to understand emerging challenges in the counterintelligence space. Warner leaned forward, not aggressively, just present. Director Patel, I have the receipts from 3 of those dinners. He pulled credit card statements from the binder. The March 3rd dinner at Philomena, bill was $80.47. Paid by Volkov. The June 20th meeting at BLT Steak, bill was $1,200, paid by Volkov. The July 29th dinner at the Hay Adams, bill was $2,100, paid by Volkov. He set the receipts down one by one. You had 6 private meetings with a man whose company was under counterintelligence investigation for taking $12.4 million from a Russian state bank. He paid for at least 3 of those meals, and after each meeting, the threat assessment on his company dropped. Silence. Complete silence. 10 seconds. 12. Patel's jaw clenched. His eyes stayed fixed on Warner, but his breathing was audible now. Senator, I paid for meals on other occasions. The financial arrangements of individual dinners don't reflect any inappropriate influence or relationship. You're the FBI director. He's under investigation. He's paying for your dinners while his company's threat level keeps dropping. How is that not inappropriate? Those meetings were professional in nature and focused on broader industry issues, not specific investigative matters. Warner closed the binder slowly. Then why didn't you file official contact reports? FBI policy requires reporting of substantive contacts with foreign nationals or individuals connected to counterintelligence matters. Volkov is a Russian national. His company took Russian state money. You met with him 6 times. Where are the contact reports? Patel's counsel leaned in to whisper. Patel's hand came up slightly. His lawyer sat back. If contact reports were required, they would have been filed through appropriate channels. I don't have them. Warner's voice stayed measured. This committee subpoenaed all contact reports related to Nexus Systems and its personnel. We received 0 reports documenting your meetings with Volkov. Either you didn't file them, which violates policy, or you filed them and someone removed them, which is worse. No response, just breathing. The air system hummed quietly. Warner gathered his papers. Not rushed, methodical, this committee is issuing a subpoena for all communications between your office and Nexus Systems, including any communications with Alexei Volkov. We're also requesting your personal phone records, email accounts, and any encrypted messaging applications you may have used during the relevant time period. You have Patel sat motionless. His water glass sat half empty. Warner continued. We're referring this matter to the Department of Justice Inspector General for investigation into potential ethics violations, including acceptance of gifts from individuals connected to active investigations and failure to file required contact reports. Additionally, we're asking Treasury to reopen the financial review of Nexus Systems and the $12.4 million transfer from VTB Bank. The committee chairman's gavel didn't fall yet. Warner wasn't finished. In 2 weeks, you will return to this committee in closed session. You will provide a complete accounting of every interaction you had with Alexei Volkov. You will explain why a high-risk counterintelligence case became no threat in 7 months. And you will explain why the threat level dropped after every single one of your private dinners. The gavel fell once, sharp, final. Patel didn't stand, didn't gather his folder, just sat there under the lights as the gallery began to empty. His counsel remained seated behind him, writing notes. The cameras had been turned off per Intelligence Committee rules, but the transcript would be declassified. The 6 meetings were now on the record. The dinner bills were documented, and 79 seconds of questioning had connected every downgrade to a private meeting that was never supposed to be discovered.